working. Okay, so word of the day is cliche. So let's get our screens turned around, everybody. Screens, here we go. 3, 2, screens. Thanks for helping your neighbor. Good. So, like I said, this, honestly, I saved this word for this project because it actually makes it a lot easier. Does anyone, and it's okay if you don't, but does anyone remember how many points I said I'm going to give you for believable dialogue? Anyone remember? Shout out some numbers. What do we think? Close. So, but believable was one part of it. Yeah, Caleb, you got it. It's 15. So 15 out of your 70 assessment points is, do your characters sound believable? So this trick is going to help you with that, okay? So let's get headphones off there, Eden. Headphones. Yep. So I'm going to have you practice saying this one. Say cliche. Cliche, yeah. This is technically a French word, but sometimes we adopt words from other languages into our language. So I know that sounds weird, but this really, it just has become a part of English too. So say it one more time. Cliche. Say it in your best French accent. Cliche. Okay, so look at the definition. A cliche is a stereotype. A cliche is a stereotype. Look at the synonym. A cliche is a generalization. Jace, go ahead and finish signing in just a second. Go ahead and turn your screen around. Thanks, bud. So cliche, stereotype. Cliche, generalization. So, like, let's test this. If you go to France, that picture, does everyone in France actually look like that? No, it's a cliche. But cliches sometimes are good, sometimes they're bad, okay? If you are thinking about different stereotypes with different cultures, cliches can turn into racism, which isn't good. That turns really bad really quick, right? But if you are respectful and you use it in a purposeful, gentle way, then it would be okay. So, like, here's a good example. If I started my story with, she gazed out the window and thought about the beauty of the Eiffel Tower, I'm using that stereotype. Where am I telling my readers that my story is happening? France. All of a sudden, I don't even have to say it, right? So I'm using that cliche in a respectful way, and I'm using it on purpose, and I'm using that stereotype. I'm using that generalization, right? Most cultures have cliches or stereotypes. Like, I'm Italian, and there's this cliche, there's a stereotype that we talk with our hands and we like pasta. And for me, that's actually true, but it's not true for all Italians, right? Or like, if you go to Mexico, does everybody in Mexico always wear a sombrero and a poncho? No, that's a stereotype. That's a generalization. That's a cliche. So, the idea though, for especially this project, look at the examples. Do any of you have Homer Simpson in your story? It's okay if not. But like, if you did, you could use his cliche. He always says, "Dow," right? That's a stereotypical cliche thing he says. Or like, does anyone have Scooby-Doo in a story? It's okay if not. Okay, yeah. So like, Eden, you might want to purposely and yeah, have Scooby-Doo say "rut-row," right? Because that's a stereotypical cliche thing that he says, right? I put art matey for pirates, but you guys tell me, what are some of the other cliches, the stereotypes for a pirate? Somebody raise your hand, tell me about Caleb. Yes, okay, what else? Did you have one too? No? Okay, yep. Yep, exactly. What and not just like, what about cliches about what a pirate looks like? Because it's not always just what someone says. You can have cliches from what someone says or does or looks like. What's another one? Exactly. Peg leg, parrot, yeah. See, all those, yeah. How many of you, raise your hand if you've heard this, roses are red, violets are blue? Yeah, see, that's a bad cliche because it's not creative. That's such a stereotypical generalization in creative writing. So we want to avoid those kinds of lazy cliches unless you're doing them on purpose. So let me show you some examples because there's so many good ways to use cliches. I love this one right here. Yes, I'm tall. Yes, the weather is nice up here. Cliche. This one is some more French cliches. So we're just going to watch a little bit of this one. But these are stereotypes, generalizations, cliches about France.
In France, everyone wears stripes, a beret, a red scarf, and a baguette.
I want to point this out right here. See this little mark above the E? Our keyboards typically don't have this in America. That's called an accent mark. So if you were going to spell cliche completely correct, it would have that accent mark. It's just telling you how to say the word. Say it again, cliche! Cliche, yep.
In France, we all live in Paris or on the French Riviera.
No, cliche, stereotype.
No matter where we live, everyone has a window opening on the Eiffel Tower.
Cliche.
Also, we
stereotype.
eat horse meat, frogs,
Escargot. Have you guys heard of escargot?
snails,
Right there, yep. But that's a stereotype, right? Not everybody in French actually eats them. So cliches don't just have to be about cultural stuff. This is a cool cliche. This one is basically 80 different movies that all have the exact same cliche. So if you think about it, it means it's not very creative. But they use this stereotype on purpose. There's a very specific reason. I want you to be asking yourself, why would they use this stereotype, this cliche of the unflinching walk? What's the purpose? So let's watch a couple first. So we have somebody walking. There's an explosion. They keep going. Somebody walking. There's an explosion. They keep going. Somebody walking. There's an explosion. I don't know about you, but if I was walking and there was an explosion behind me, I would probably scream and fall down. Or like scream and run away. So there's a reason though, even though it's really not that creative, because these are tons of different action movies, there's a very specific reason why this cliche, this stereotype, this generalization gets used on purpose. So somebody take a guess. What do you think they're telling us without really telling us? Take a guess. What do you think? Jace, what do you think? Okay, not quite, but I'll appreciate the guess. Okay, what else? Okay, Sydney. Nope, not quite, but I like the guess. So let's watch a couple more, okay? So think about, they're telling us something about these characters, but they're not being obvious. Lola, do you want to take a stab at it? Okay. Boom, she said it. That was it, right there. They're telling us, hey, this is a cool guy. Without, or gal, without actually, because how boring would that be? This is Bob, he's cool. That's not as interesting as seeing it. So in creative writing, you would just be explaining it with words, right? So then the last thing we'll do with cliches, Studio C took this cool guy cliche and they used it to make it ridiculous and funny, and we will see why. But cliches, a lot of time in creative writing, they can save us a lot of time. So it's okay to use them. They can save you a bunch of time as a creative writer.
How far away is that asteroid?
300,000 kilometers. We don't have much time.
If our boys don't make it up there soon, well, let's just say I'm not gonna make it to that Michael Bublé concert.
I'm gonna pretend you mentioned someone much cooler.
Okay, here
So
comes
am
the
I.
cliche.
Think our boys
And
can
again,
do
they're
it?
doing the cool
They're our
guy
last hope.
cliche here. There's a bunch of stereotypes. There's
Heaven
a bunch of
help us all.
generalizations of why this is cliche. So you be thinking, what are they telling us without telling us? What are we seeing? Somebody tell me. There's like 6 things here. Somebody tell me one. What's one of the cliches happening here? Okay. Yep. Front corner. Perfect. Boom. That's one. The aviator sunglasses. What's one of the other 6 things? Yep, Clay. The slow-mo walking. What else? The flight suits. Also, one of them is like munching on a toothpick. Caleb, what else? Yeah, they're like, they have fans. So all of that, right? They're showing us without being obvious. So they're using that cliche on purpose. And then here's the reason why they also are using the cliche. If we have a stereotype after stereotype, cliche after cliche, it really makes him stand out, right? The comparison is extra ridiculous compared to the stereotype, compared to the cliche.
What? You okay?
Yeah, why?
You're walking a little funny right now.
What?
No, he's right. Did you eat something weird today?
Guys, this is how I normally walk.
Okay, well, maybe just straighten up and take smaller steps. Keep your arms by your sides.
Yeah, swing your hips less and don't look stupid.
Let's do this.
Like, all these things shouldn't matter, right? They're supposed to be saving the world. Okay, I'm gonna give you a tip today. On the You Try box, I highly recommend that you think of one of the characters you are going to do for the famous dinner table. And think about, is there a cliche, stereotypical thing this character is kind of famous for? Like Mickey Mouse always says, "Oh boy." And so that would be a really easy thing for the You Try box, right? That's what I would do if I were you. Okay, so you can be thinking about your You Try box and turn it in by the end of this video. Yeah, Caleb. It could be something someone says, it could be something they wear, it could be something they do, it could be a place, it could be a thing, it could be any of those things. Yep. So it doesn't have to be dialogue, but that's why I teach it to you during this project specifically. Okay, we'll